Fun fact, you are going to die someday. I mean, we all are. And let's be honest, death never comes at an opportune time. Many of us avoid thinking about it, planning for it, or even talking about it. But here's the thing. Avoiding talking about death doesn't make it inevitable. But what if instead of avoiding it, we leaned into it with some compassion, grace, and maybe some peace? And this is where I and other fellow death doulas come in. And hi, if you're new here, my name is Beth Montgomery, and I am a certified death doula. I've made it my mission to make death, dying, and grief a lot less scary to talk about. And in this video, we're going to talk about what a death doula is and 4 actionable steps that you can take today that's going to make this a whole lot easier. So first of all, what is a death doula? A death doula is a non-medical professional who helps in all stages of death, dying, and grief. We provide emotional, physical, and sometimes spiritual support. In some cultures, we're called end-of-life guides, death coaches, or transition guides, but the heart of the work is still the same. We hold space for you and your loved ones during this most profound time. Now, a common misconception is that death doula's role is simply by the bedside when someone is actively dying, and that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, our work starts way before that moment. So we help individuals and families come together to talk about what a good death looks like. And what a good death looks like also includes advanced care directives, figuring out who your healthcare proxies are, and what you would like to do at the end of life and then beyond. I mean, if you think about it, we plan birthday parties or weddings, so why not plan for what's inevitable? For example, I worked with a client who did not want aggressive treatment plan for her health condition, and she wrote it out in black and white ink so that her family did not have any questions when that time came. And I had another client want to plan her home funeral in great detail so that she felt like she could have a say in what happens. So it's all about putting our wishes and our dreams onto paper so that our families aren't left guessing. Now, I think one of the most beautiful parts of this work is legacy work. Now, a legacy isn't necessarily something that you just leave behind, like a necklace or the things that you have in your house. It can be so much more than that. So that might look like recording yourself on video, telling your life story, or writing letters, or maybe even creating memory boxes for future generations to come. The most important thing here is that you are leaving something behind that matters to you and how you want to be remembered. Like, for instance, I had a client who wanted to leave voice recordings of her family traditions so that her family had something tangible to listen to. And I had another client record all of her family recipes so that the legacy lived on. And how unique is it to have that family recipe in their unique handwriting or their voice? So let's move on to grief support. Death doula's role in the grieving process can be crucial. Oftentimes, there's nothing that we can say to make grief easier or better. In fact, there's no way to fix grief. So a death doula's role is to hold space to allow for that healing and any emotions that come up. And grief isn't just limited to losing a loved one. It can be the loss of a job, a dream, a relationship. It could be anything. And I just want to add here that death doulas are not licensed therapists. We are simply professionals who know how to hold space for others in times of grief. And grief also ties into spiritual support. Not everyone finds comfort in an organized religion. So there are some death doulas that do specialize in religious organizations, but oftentimes death doulas often practice other things that may also be comforting. They can lead meditations, they can offer Reiki, or they can connect you with nature, or they can just simply hold space. So if you find yourself in that mixed space of not having a spiritual organization or religious practice, reach out to a death doula. And in fact, when you are reaching out to a death doula, know that we have a lot of resources and education and information in your specific area that you may not necessarily know. I would say a lot of our work is about educating the community, individuals, families. We help connect families and individuals to different services such as hospice centers or local grief supports. And there are some of us who are also well versed in home funeral practices or something unique like that. But ultimately, we empower you with the information that you need. Because again, every person is uniquely different. And so every planning process is going to be uniquely different to you. And lastly, what a death doula does is the vigil support. You can often find us at the bedside during the final hours. We're there to help create a comforting environment, support the family, and to just be there to hold space. We want to make sure that everyone feels supported and loved, especially during this sensitive time. And remember, vigil work is just a small piece of the puzzle when it comes to what a death doula does. And it's so important that we talk about all these things now, because here's the thing. Death is inevitable. Whether it's losing a person or finding out that you have a terminal diagnosis or just grappling with your own mortality, none of us are untouched by it. But society does not prepare us for these moments. And when we don't talk about it, we're often feeling lost, uncomfortable, and afraid. But what if we reframe that as death is a natural part of life? That yes, it can be difficult, but it can also be an opportunity to have meaning and connection. And a death doula can help bridge the gap. All right, so I promised you 4 actionable steps that you can take right now that's going to make this easier. So here they are. 1, let's start the conversation. I know having these conversations with your family members is not the easiest, but it's the most important gift that you can give to them. I want you to ask yourself this question. If something were to happen to you tomorrow, would your family know what to do? If that answer is no, you got to get started today. All right, number 2, educate yourself on different options that are out there. So this can simply be a Google search or just asking questions or calling different places. So for instance, if you wanted a green burial, did you know that you can buy a casket on Amazon that is eco-friendly, and it's probably a lot cheaper than what you would find at the funeral home? Or that you can have a home funeral, and this is where your family and friends can also come on board and help prepare you for your next leg of your journey. There are many options out there. You just have to explore them. And this is where a conversation with a death doula can really help you out and put you at an advantage, because Google's a big land. All right, number 3, document your wishes. So your advanced care directive, your living will, and your healthcare proxies are all things that you can do today. And here's the best part. They are free. All you need to do to find the documents that you need is search the government website under your state. And no, you do not need an attorney to fill out these particular pieces of paper. The Advanced Care Directive is specifically for your wishes if you're not able to speak. And that's where your health proxy comes in. They are going to tell the doctors and the nurses and all the staff exactly what your wishes are. And a living will, you can think of as a living well, W-E-L-L. Because once you put all that stuff to bed and you know exactly what you want and the people around you know exactly what you want, then we can start to live well without the burden of that on our shoulders. Okay? So number 4, seek help. If you're navigating grief or end-of-life planning by yourself, please don't do that. Reach out for help. There's many professionals in your area that are specifically there to help you, whether it be hospice care providers or grief counselors or a death doula. We are here to support you in your time of need. Now, the reason why I became a death doula is because I firmly believe that no one should face death or life alone and feeling unsupported and unprepared. Death is hard, and it's also a profound human experience. And when we approach it with intention, we create space for love, connection, and healing. So death does not have to be terrifying or lonely. With the right support, it can be a time of closure, peace, and even beauty. You're going to die someday. That's inevitable. But how you approach it, that's entirely up to you. If this message resonates with you, let's connect. Whether you have questions or need resources or just want to chat, I'm here to help. So let's talk about the things that most people tend to avoid. And I promise it's not going to be as scary as you think it might be. So until next time, be good to yourself.